Part 18. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 171. The original 5 meals a day were suddenly reduced to 3 meals, and there was only one carbohydrate staple meal. The main course of each meal was replaced with grass that could not fill the stomach, paired with extremely poor-tasting brown rice, white water eggs, and dry chicken breasts. Tao Ran didn't feel uncomfortable eating such bland food, but it was torture to his body. Nausea, even the sight of salad makes me want to vomit. When it comes to eating, I miss the rich flavor of grilled fish, barbecue, hot pot, and dry pot. But she still managed to survive this most critical and difficult first week with perseverance. Get on the scale. 85 kilograms became 82.5 kilograms. I lost 5 pounds in a week, which is not bad. What makes her most gratified is that after a week of care, her facial problems have been greatly improved. Oiliness has been reduced by half, acne is no longer visible, and although the skin is still dark, it looks much refreshed. Over time, she is confident that Chen Yi will also have beauty, at least he will not be teased because of his appearance. On the other side, the lawyers of Wang Shu and the others came to see them, hoping to gain the victim's forgiveness and use financial compensation to make up for the harm done to Chen Yi. This time, Chen Jian respected his daughter's opinion and said everything was done according to her ideas. Opposite lawyer, after all, Wang Shu and Tan Chao are under 14, so even if they file charges, it is impossible to impose a sentence. And Lu Hua will be given a lighter sentence if the prosecution is meritorious. There is no point in your insistence, Chen Yi. I'm sorry, I'm just a child. Let's leave such matters to the law. Actually, we suggest that you think about it carefully. If the court awards it, the compensation will not be too high. Why don't you sit down calmly and talk about it? In terms of compensation, we can try to follow your wishes. Tao Ran just laughed. Reconciliation and prosecution may have the same outcome. But the meaning is different. Wang Shu and the others wanted to reconcile because they were afraid of leaving stains on their lives, but what she wanted was for the bad guys to get the justice they deserved. Of course Tao Ran knew that even if those 3 people were sent to the juvenile detention center, they would not be detained for a few days, but even if it was just to serve as a warning to the society, she could not retreat at this time. She takes advantage of society and must give something in return. A lot of persistence, not for money she left this sentence. Not only for others, but also for Chen Yi who was hurt and ended her life. This justice must be sought back. Chen Jian was impressed by his daughter and took over all prosecution matters. Her insistence spread quickly, and a reporter came to give her an exclusive interview. She bluntly stated that after the lawsuit is over, all the compensation she receives will be donated to society to help those peers who have encountered violence and are unable to protect themselves. Tao Ran felt that this must be Chen Yi's wish. Chen Yi's generous statement once again became a hot topic before the trial. While the world praised her, admired her, and supported her, they also began to reflect on how this society should protect vulnerable groups such as children and children to a greater extent. Ma Xiaozu and her daughter, who originally thought that the matter would calm down soon, did not expect that the intensity of the incident not only did not decrease, but actually increased. Chen Yi became a celebrity again. The higher the concern of society, the more they can only behave with their tail between their legs. Although this lawsuit has nothing to do with them, the world's view of them has long since changed. It seems that the whole world is watching a good show, which has led to Ma Xiaozu not even wanting to leave the house recently. Zhou Qingqing felt even more uncomfortable. The feeling of being isolated is so painful. She pestered Ma Xiaozu and made trouble every day. Ma Xiaozu had no choice but to find a way to transfer her to another school. The city's junior high schools have been around, but they have encountered problems everywhere. No school is willing to accept Zhou Qingqing. Are such celebrities recruited to cause trouble? Is it to attract media attention? Zhou Qingqing is now hated by people and is also involved with the little ruffian. Not only will he easily cause trouble when he comes, but his parents will definitely not agree. So, even though Ma Xiaozu found someone to move around, there was still nothing she could do. They could only focus on private schools, and Ma Xiaozu took the initiative to express her willingness to pay a sponsorship fee. But she still encountered a problem. Chen Jian refused. He withheld the household registration book, leaving Ma Xiaozu helpless. As a parent, fairness is the most important thing. Children now go to public schools, and we cannot favor one against another. Xiao Ai has suffered so much and has not said she wants to change schools. You are so proud. Qingqing wants to go to a private school, and the tuition is good for a year. Tens of thousands, plus sponsorship fees, that's a lot of money, and Xiao Ai is in a public school where there is no compulsory education. Do you think our material is not enough and you want to provide those reporters with more evidence of your oppression of your stepdaughter? Ma Xiaozu broke up with Chen Jian on bad terms again. Moreover, what Chen Jian said was reasonable. After thinking about it for a while, Ma Xiaozu could only comfort her daughter and endure it for a while. A month passed in the blink of an eye, and the trial of Chen Yi's case had begun. And the results of Chen Yi's latest monthly exam have also come out. The results have steadily improved, which is gratifying. Previously, she was at the bottom of the class, but now, after deliberately hiding her true English proficiency, her overall score has risen to the middle level. This further proved the impact of various previous oppressions on her, making everyone even more disgusted with Wang Shu's ruffians who misled others and almost killed others. On the day of the trial, in order to protect the victim, Tao Ran did not attend. But she participated in the whole process by voice. She once again lamented that the straightforward jump that day was worth it. Without that provision, Wang Shu and the others would have to lose some money at most. But when she jumped, the nature completely changed. If her life would have been lost without the air mattress, then they would have definitely committed manslaughter, or even intentional homicide. Therefore, these three people could not escape the fate of being sent to the juvenile reformatory. In addition, Lu Hua's confession, classmates' reports, and evidence such as pencil wounds on Chen Yi's body and diaries recording the actions of several people were submitted. The past evil deeds of Wang Shu and others were also exposed, triggering another public uproar. All in all, the case went smoothly. Eventually, all three were sent to a juvenile correctional facility. Wang Shu was the mastermind and was sentenced to 6 months. But since he was under 14, it was reduced to 3 months. Tan Chao and Lu Hua each had their prison sentences reduced from 3 months to 1 month because they were under 14 and reported meritorious service. Criminal penalties can be reduced, but financial compensation cannot be reduced. The damage caused by more than 3 people to Chen Yi this year was estimated, and the compensation was calculated at 10 times the price. The final verdict was, Wang Shu, Tan Chao, and Lu Hua compensated Chen Yi 200,000, 100,000 and 100,000 respectively. Regarding this verdict, Tan Chao and Lu Hua, who are from relatively good family backgrounds, were calm. But Wang Shu couldn't accept it. His family's condition is not good. If he hadn't been short of money, would he have been forced to do whatever she wanted by Zhou Qingqing? Now let him take the blame alone, why? Therefore, he expressed his dissatisfaction in court and wanted to file an appeal, claiming again that Zhou Qingqing instigated all his actions. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 172. During the break on the second day after the trial, several people came to see Zhou Qingqing. Others didn't know those people, but Chen Yi knew them. Those people who also bullied me were Wang Shu's brothers in the past. This time almost all of them were implicated, investigated, or educated. Now they came to Zhou Qingqing, no doubt because of Wang Shu's business, but also to vent their anger. Tao Ran followed from a distance. Several people called Zhou Qingqing to a remote place and asked her if she wanted to surrender. Zhou Qingqing had a very good attitude and begged them to tell Wang Shu that when this matter was over, she would definitely compensate Wang Shu and beg him to show mercy. Tao Ran left silently. It's time for Zhou Qingqing to fully understand Chen Yi's pain and suffering that day. In the future, it should be difficult for her to escape the entanglement of Wang Shu and his gang. She deserves to suffer the consequences. After that day, a worried Zhou Qingqing took 3 days of sick leave. And since the 3 little ruffians entered, the air on campus seems to be much cleaner. Slowly, more and more students are willing to get close to Chen Yi. Chen Yi originally had a good personality, and her so-called isolation was due to being oppressed. Now that the environment is clear, her whole person becomes sunny. And many classmates found that Chen Yi not only seemed to look better, but also lost weight. Tao Ran has already lost 12 pounds of weight for Chen Yi. Although she is still far from her goal, she is completely different. In addition to the exquisite appearance, the temperament has also changed due to the refreshing feeling from the inside out. Now, the first impression of her is not fat, but cute. In addition, her self-discipline amazed the entire class. Avoid high-fat, high-sugar and high-calorie foods, refuse snacks and drinks, even deep-fried foods, and never eat more than 2 tails of meat dishes per meal. I have to run 2 laps when I get to school in the morning, walk for half an hour at noon, and run 2 laps when I leave school in the evening. So, under the attention of the whole school, she lost weight again near the end of the semester. The entire clothing size has gone down 1 size. In addition, she is also amazing in her studies. In addition to making up for math every day, she also maintained a high degree of concentration in other classes. Even during lunch break and self-study when everyone is chatting, you can see her focused on studying. It's admirable that she works so hard, is so strict with herself, and strives to catch up on wasted time. Not only did the classmates give her the title of King of Self-Discipline, they were also encouraged and stimulated, and felt that they should not waste their time. After all, someone can catch up after being hit so hard. If you are good at everything, you must be worthy of yourself, right? As a result, Tao Ran unintentionally started a secret self-discipline contest among most of the classmates. The class teacher, Han Mingli, felt tears welling up in her eyes at the fact that the whole class had worked hard to become more self-disciplined. This scene should be what every teacher looks forward to seeing the most, right? At this moment, she was not thinking about improving her class score in this year's final exam, nor was she thinking about the year-end bonus. She only felt that her motivation had increased and her original intention to devote herself to education was back. Of course, she also knew she was wrong. She felt extremely guilty for the classmate whom she had ignored or even ignored. That day, she called Chen Yi to her office and said sorry to Chen Yi in front of all the teachers. Tao Ran took a deep breath. This head teacher really needs to apologize. Chen Yi, did you see it? Are you more relieved? The effect of self-discipline is also reflected in the final exam. Chen Yi's math score jumped to 7th in the class. She ranked 5th in the class overall. This result came from a student who came last in the midterm exam. If her diligence hadn't been noticed by the whole class, everyone would have thought that she had stolen the question in advance. For the first time, Chen Yi and his class ranked first in their class, shocking everyone else in the grade and even the principal. After learning that this achievement was driven by Chen Yi, everyone was amazed again and attracted reporters who had previously reported on Chen Yi's incident. When the reporter saw the bright, pure, and lovely girl in front of him, he almost didn't recognize that she was the chubby Chen Yi from before. Even reporters were stimulated. How can a person be motivated and perseverant to be so reborn? The reporter made an eloquent report and analysis, exploring the changes and impacts brought about by the Chen Yi incident from many aspects, and published it in local newspapers and online. Experts and scholars have participated, and educationists, sociologists, and legal experts have forwarded it one after another. Philosophers are also interested in it, and they have analyzed it from point to point, from individuals to society. Many netizens who had paid attention to Chen Yi's incident before also thought of the girl they had ignored, so self-discipline made Chen Yi popular again. Of course, there are always keyboard warriors and trolls who will come out to question the hype. This time, Chen Jian stood up in the face of some people's bullying of his daughter and handed over a donation certificate for part of the compensation. That's 200,000 yuan in compensation from Tan Chao and Lu Hua, all of which was donated to the Youth and Children's Protection Foundation. The trolls just shut up. After Chen Jian took out another donation certificate with an amount of 100,000 yuan in his name, he said that in the future, he would personally donate part of his income every year to protect more children. It is not easy for a girl who has been bullied to stand up and speak out. Now that she can do so and set an example, many people are stimulated. Not surprisingly, she was on the hot search again and triggered a youth protection campaign. Of course, when everyone remembers Chen Yi, they will naturally not forget her stepsister Zhou Qingqing. Unfortunately, Zhou Qingqing was not among the people promoted by Chen Yi. Her grades dropped sharply this time. Affected by her emotions, she has not been interested in studying at all recently, and she has been distracted during class. Her classmates were unfriendly, her neighbors were discordant, the atmosphere at home was uncomfortable, and she had to worry about retaliation, which made her feel like she was going crazy. So in this exam, she was the one who fell to the bottom of the class. She went from being around 10 in the class to 5th from the bottom. A perfect contrast to her 5th stepsister. On the final day of the semester, the principal praised Chen Yi in public, but she was educated in public by Han Mingli. In the mocking eyes of everyone, she smiled coldly at Chen Yi, glared fiercely, threw the table and left. She finally couldn't hide her hatred. That look was too sharp and vicious, and it fell in the eyes of many classmates, who all lamented that Zhou Qingqing's former kindness was really just a pretense. What a scary and scheming person. Everyone told Chen Yi to be careful of Zhou Qingqing's revenge. Tao Ran also felt that it would be soon before the mother and daughter could make a difference. Because she knew that besides Zhou Qingqing, Ma Xiaozu was also losing her temper. I finished updating this chapter with a breath of celestial energy, and now I'm going to get my blood tested and film the trilogy of waters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 173. Ma Xiaozu always thought that as long as she was given some time, she would be able to conquer Chen Jian again. But more than a month later, not only did Chen Jian not move back to the room, he was still so cold to her, even eating with Chen Yi only. The longer time passed, the harder it was for her to find a chance for the two of them to sit down and talk calmly. What's worse is that in the past few days, the relationship between the two of them has not only failed to improve, but has actually worsened. On that day, just like giving money to his family in the past, on the 10th, Chen Jian took an envelope and gave it to Ma Xiaozu. She opened it and saw that it was 10,000 yuan. The amount has not changed. But this is just for household use. Just give her this little household income. How is this enough? The others. Husband, I quit my job and stay at home with no other income. You don't let me go to the company. I take care of the children at home and can't go out to find a job to make money. You have to give me some extra pocket money, right? She wanted to say, although she didn't go to work, but the salary still has to be paid to her, right? But Chen Jian didn't seem to understand. Your pocket money is already included in the 10,000 yuan. What? There are 5 people in the family. At that time, I calculated the household expenses at 2,000 yuan per person, so I gave you 10,000 yuan for expenses every month. But now Xiaoi and I eat and drink separately from you, and you don't have to worry about it, so you three it's 6,000 yuan per person, and the remaining 4,000 yuan is considered as my pocket money for you. Honey, are you going too far? Ma Xiaozu gasped and gritted her teeth. 4,000 is not enough to buy a bag. I've been very generous. But my monthly salary in the company was 18,000 yuan. You asked me to take care of the children at home, so you have to give me this money. He. Chen Jian's relationship with his daughter has become better recently, and he has gradually come to his senses. Now that he understands how many things Ma Xiaozu did to damage and sow discord between their father and daughter in the past, he has also really hurt Ma Xiaozu. I gave you 18,000 yuan because of your hard work, taking care of 5 people and still taking care of the company. But now I find that you are not capable enough and that you are useless in the company, so after consideration, I'll give you 4,000 yuan a month's pocket money. If you can educate your son well, I will naturally increase the price for you. If you feel unhappy, you might as well regard this as motivation for you to educate your son well. Ma Xiaozu was furious. You use me as a nanny? Even a nanny can earn 18,000 yuan a month. These 4,000 yuan. What kind of nanny are you? Chen Jian was interrupted immediately. I'll give you 10,000 yuan. It's for household use, but what do you want to use it for? The property fee at home, the children's tuition fees, and the monthly utilities and gas are all paid on my card. The housekeeping company sends an aunt every week for home hygiene. Come and clean. All your monthly expenses are charged to my credit card, and the children's clothes and shoes are also charged to my card. You don't even have to spend money to buy groceries and gas, and even the dishes are equipped with a dishwasher. You basically don't have to spend any money, these 10,000 yuan are given to you for free. What you have to do every day is, at best, cooking 2 meals for your children and taking them to and from school. Why did you become a nanny? If there was a nanny like you who was doing well and getting paid while lying down, I would have fired you a long time ago. Now I can still give you 10,000 a month, which is already very worthy of you. If you are not satisfied and want an extra 18,000 yuan, why don't you return the 10,000 yuan to me and go out to find a job yourself? I don't need you to take care of the house. I'll find a nanny to take care of you, and I'll find a tutor to teach my son. That's good too. Ma Xiaozu was so angry that she felt dizzy. This was going to make her mad to death. If she could make money, why did she bother to get close to him? If she could earn 10,000 to 20,000 yuan a month outside, she would have found a young man long ago. If she was willing to work under others, where would her life be today? What she yearns for is the life of a rich wife. If she were to go back to working hard for 3 to 5,000 yuan, it would be better to kill her. Her eyes turned red, and she wanted to act like I felt pity for him, but Chen Jian kept attacking like a machine gun. I've given you the right to choose. If you think this 10,000 yuan is not appropriate, then do as I say and go out to work by yourself. If you think you can bear it, then shut up and stop worrying about this household expense with me in the future. Chen Jian felt uncomfortable whenever he thought that his biological daughter had no pocket money, but his stepdaughter had money to treat her classmates to Japanese food. Don't forget, you have devoured a lot of my daughter's household income over the years. This amount of money is quite a lot. Who cares about it? We are husband and wife. Since we are husband and wife, of course we have money to share, right? But we are still parents. Every move you and I make has an impact on the children. I can't let my children be raised crookedly. Therefore, I must take care of Chen Yi and Chen Xiao, and I must put them first. Zhou Qing, it's up to you. If you are dissatisfied with me, I still say that you can get a divorce. That day, after Chen Jian left, Ma Xiaozu lost her temper regardless of whether the surveillance camera was filming or not. Scumbag. She swept all the food on the table to the floor. The husband and wife repaid their kindness to each other overnight, but he actually fell out at the first sign of falling out. Zhou Qingqing also rushed out of the room crying and asked, "What do you mean? What does he mean? He doesn't care about me anymore? He doesn't plan to recognize me as his daughter, does he? Then can she inherit the family business? How much and how much can she get from this family?" She had called that bad man dad for many years. When Tao Ran came out of the room with her skull bag on her back, she was faced with the mother and daughter who were eyeing her eagerly. The fire in their eyes almost burst out. And with Zhou Qingqing's unabashed resentment today, Tao Ran was worried that they would soon be unable to hold it back. This won't work. In the past, Zhou Qingqing even bribed a gangster to take ugly photos of her and force her to die. If the mother and daughter become ruthless next time, their methods will only be more ruthless. They want the Chen family's property, and Chen Yi, the roadblock, must be dealt with. But now that she and Chen Jian are standing together, they will definitely not be able to take action directly. So Tao Ran was worried about Grandma. The old lady is her and Chen Jian's common weakness. If the other party does something, Chen Jian and Chen Yi can't stand it. Gotta find a way. Summer vacation has begun. On this day, Tao Ran came home from his morning run and was drinking water when his cell phone rang. Not the sound of a phone call, but the sound of an incoming call from Penguin Voice Call. Zhou Qingqing, who was having breakfast, looked jealous. She only has a broken mobile phone from the previous year. It is not as good as Chen Yi's one. It looks trendy and the notification sound is much crisper. Zhou Qingqing secretly looked at Chen Yi. In just 2 months, this ugly fat girl has changed so much. She used to wear 3XL, but now she only needs XL. Her body is hidden in a wide t-shirt, and she no longer feels fat. On the contrary, the rosy complexion gives people an extremely sunny, positive, and youthful feeling. Is this still the Chen Yi I knew before? Zhou Qingqing was so angry that she turned her into a pig-headed one. She and her mother spent a lot of effort. Now that she has lost weight and become beautiful, it will be difficult to make her look ugly again in the future. Thank you for your support. I have received a lot of monthly tickets and rewards. If you guys still have monthly tickets, please give them to me. Thank you everyone. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 174. When Zhou Qingqing rolled her eyes at Chen Yi, she saw Chen Yi suddenly raised her lips while looking at the phone, and then ran all the way to the room. Abnormal. Something's wrong. Doesn't she never smile at home? Why is this damn fat man laughing so hard? What happened to her eyes that brightened just now? It's a holiday, is there any good thing? She doesn't have many friends, who would call her? It's definitely not Chen Jian, he never uses penguins. Also, she was clearly trying to avoid herself in that way. Can't people know by calling? Could it be that he is looking for her? Could this damn girl be in puppy love? Zhou Qingqing regained consciousness, turned on her cell phone to record, and followed lightly to the door of Chen Yi's room. As soon as I stood by the door, I heard Chen Yi laughing inside, asking how are you, and saying I miss you. Zhou Qingqing felt proud, but she had caught something. Isn't Chen Yi capable of acting? She wanted to see if this girl could act like a good girl when she threw the complete audio in front of Chen Jian. However, Zhou Qingqing was confused the next second. What grandpa did she hear? Chen Yi was calling the person on the other end of the phone, Grandpa. Where did Grandpa come from? Didn't Chen Jian's father die many years ago? Then, Zhou Qingqing heard Chen Yi say something like Grandma asked me to say hello to you, take good care of yourself, I will definitely take good care of grandma, which made Zhou Qingqing confused. What is this mess? The old man is not dead? Could it be that the old lady has other lovers? With such doubts, Zhou Qingqing entered Ma Xiaozu's room and played the recording to her. Ma Xiaozu listened to it for the second time, and only then did she slap her head and react when she heard the word return to the country mentioned in the recording. The old lady has a younger brother named Hai Song. His mother ran away from home when he was 10 years old. Later he went abroad with a businessman, but because of some things, he never came back. The old lady's brother is doing well abroad and owns a trading company. Although he is rich, he has not forgotten his roots. He has always been thinking about his only close sister in the country, the old lady. I heard that Chen Jian's company was started under his guidance. Although he has not returned to China in recent years, he has always been in contact with Chen Jian. Ma Xiaozu screwed up her teeth and said, "Huh, Chen Jian should have introduced the old man to Chen Yi. Then since the old man cares so much about my sister, why don't you come back and take a look? I seem to be in poor health, so I can't remember clearly." How rich is that man? Zhou Qingqing's eyes flashed. It has to be said that mother and daughter want to go together, and Ma Xiaozu is also thinking about this. Quite rich, much richer than Chen Jian anyway. With a little help, Chen Jian can start a small company. The old man must have a big family business. A conservative estimate is that it must be at least dozens of times that of Chen Jian. He cares so much about the old lady, will he give some financial help? Zhou Qingqing talked about Ma Xiaozu's heart. How could the two of them sit still? Chen Yugong just came back from his morning run. On such a hot day, he definitely needed to take a shower. So, sure enough, when the two came out of the room, Chen Yi was no longer in the room. Zhou Qingqing deliberately passed by the bathroom, heard the sound of water inside, and confirmed that Chen Yi was taking a shower. The mother and daughter worked together and the action began. One of them pulled the switch and cut off the power to the surveillance system. The other took advantage of the opportunity and rushed into Chen Yi's room and got the mobile phone on the table. In just 10 seconds, the power came back and the phone was stolen. The water in the bathroom also sounded again. The mother and daughter opened Penguin, and sure enough they found the top dialogue box, which showed the conversation they had just had 10 minutes ago. The other party's name is Old Pine on the other side of the ocean. This name is a pun. It tells them directly about the identity of the other party, the old lady's brother Hai Song. Checking the avatar information, although it is very simple, there is no space and no photo album, but it shows overseas. The signature is still, "I miss my hometown and my old friends." You can't go wrong. I really didn't expect that Chen Yi would actually chat with that rich old man. You don't know it until you see it, but you're really surprised when you see it. The old man and the young man would say hello, send a few texts, or have a voice call almost every day. Although the two of them had only been chatting for half a month, the old man's love for Chen Yi was revealed in every line of his words. Ma Xiaozu and her daughter felt guilty and didn't have time to take a closer look. They quickly took pictures of the chat history with their mobile phones, and then repeated the same trick and put the mobile phones back. After returning to the room, the two of them studied the saved chat records. The information is too big. The old man took the initiative to download Penguin, probably under Chen Jian's introduction, and contacted Chen Yi. That's why his account is a new account with no information. Most of the exchange between the two was about the old lady. Chen Yi sent a lot of photos of the old lady. The old man was very happy and told her to take good care of the old lady, saying that the old lady was his biggest bond in the country. He only has one sister, so he must rush back to the country to see her. Now that his body is recovering, he will definitely be able to return to China next fall at the latest. When the time comes, he will give their family a surprise and a gift to thank them for taking care of the old lady over the years. especially Chen Yi. Chen Yi responded to her obediently, taking care of her grandma as she should, no surprise gifts needed. The old man was naturally happy when he heard this and praised her in return. The old man also cared about Chen Yi's studies and invited her to study abroad and travel overseas in the future. He would pay all the expenses. There is also a photo of the old man in the chat. The focus of mother and daughter Masayozu was not on the face of the old man who could not see clearly, but on the background. Such a big lawn, such a big garden, such a beautiful villa, such exquisite afternoon tea, and there are two very expensive big dogs at the old man's feet. To be honest, this is what life should be like. This kind of life is a life without regrets. The old man also said that he sent Chen Yi a gift and that when he comes back next year, he will give Chen Yi a bonus that will be enough to allow her to do what she wants to do in the future. Chen Yi repeatedly said no need. After reading the record, the mother and daughter looked at each other and were silent for several seconds, feeling indescribable. Zhou Qingqing sneered, "It's just pretentious. He really knows how to act noble. He obviously covets the old man's money. That's why he was so happy when he came back. Let me just say, how could she be so kind to the old lady with such a white-eyed wolf, and visit her almost every day? It turns out there is still such a relationship involved. She must have inquired about it a long time ago. She knew that the old man cared about his sister, so she was so enthusiastic about the old lady. She didn't have a mobile phone before and couldn't be contacted. Now that she has caught Chen Jian's heart, she can't fawn over him as hard as she can. So that sentence is grandpa, which is called sweet. It makes me sick. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 175. Why do you say you don't have these things? The more her daughter talked, the more depressed Masayozu sounded. If she knew that the old man would be so generous and planned to return to China and take care of her sister, how could she have kicked the old lady out of the house? Isn't the old man's meaning still clear? I must leave a legacy to the person who takes care of the old lady. Chen Yi got a bargain for nothing, this money should be his. After a while, Masayozu squinted and said, no matter what, we can't take advantage of the old lady anymore. The old man is so rich. If they want to take advantage of the old man, the prerequisite is that there must be an old lady hanging here. Only when the old lady is here, will the old man come back and show his money by showing off. Therefore, not only can they not do anything to the old lady, they also have to please the old lady. If the old lady says something good about them in front of the old man in the future, their share of the inheritance will definitely be indispensable. Starting from tomorrow, we have to go to the nursing home often. You take your brother, be good and sweet. Your brother is the grandson of this family, and the old lady likes him no matter what. As long as the old lady approves of us, we will not suffer in the future. So troublesome. Why trouble? Are you worried about trouble when you have money? Think about it when you go shopping in a famous brand mall with a card, will you feel motivated? I am the stepdaughter of this family, so I don't have any share in the money. Stupid, don't you have a younger brother? Your younger brother is the grandson of this family. As long as the old man cares about the Chen family, can he not take care of him? As long as your younger brother is doing good, he will miss you. If your younger brother becomes one, you will be the one from now on. The rich lady. You are so beautiful, and when the time comes to marry into a wealthy family, you will be a real young mistress. Spend your whole life eating and drinking, lying down and counting money, that life will be so beautiful for you. Masayozu knocked her daughter on the head. Where can there be free food in the world? Who doesn't want to take advantage? But even if a windfall comes from the sky, it will only benefit those who run fast and diligently. This girl, with such a beautiful face, is obviously not stupid, but why does she only show her cleverness when she plays some little tricks? So much like her useless father. When Ran returned to the room after taking a shower, he noticed at a glance that the position of his cell phone had changed slightly. Her lips curled up, and the position of her phone was placed deliberately. From the pillowcase, she took out a second-hand mobile phone. She bought this half a month ago. It's cheap, but it works. After all, it's a trumpet. That's right, the old pine across the ocean is her. The chat records on her mobile phone are all responses from her two mobile phones. The photos sent by the old man on her mobile phone were all found online. She deliberately made them unclear, and then found a professional photo artist to slightly modify them according to the appearance of the real sea pine. Maziuzu's mother and daughter's cultural level was limited and they would never be able to find any clues. She just directed and acted in a play. Maziuzu had been with her father for so many years and didn't know that grandfather. How could she possibly know him? She had been anxious a while ago, fearing that Maziuzu and her daughter would attack her grandma. One day when I was in a nursing home, I was looking through the old lady's old photos and saw a group photo from the past, and I got to know Hai Song. She had a sudden change of heart at that time. This guy is great, no one really knows him, no one really understands him, all his information is only half understood and hearsay, which is very beneficial to her performance. Thinking this was a good point to make a fuss about, she bought a second-hand cheap mobile phone, applied for a Penguin account, and designed today's scene. Apparently, the fish was hooked. She shouldn't have to worry about her grandma's safety until next fall. Of course, in order to convince the other party completely, a few days later, Ran also received a gift box and happily carried it into the house. That night, there was an extra necklace around her neck. Well, big brand, limited edition. Maziuzu's mouth twitched when she saw it. After Zhou Qingqing found out the price of the necklace, she couldn't hold it in any longer and stole another cell phone that day. Sure enough, in the Penguin chat, one person asked, "Have you received the gift?" One reply, "I received it, I like it very much, thank you grandpa," and also attached a photo of wearing a necklace. Zhou Qingqing stared at the necklace shining in the sun and turned into a lemon again. She wants it too. Although Chen Jian can be regarded as a company boss, the net profit of that small company in a year is only enough to buy dozens of necklaces, right? No matter how kind Chen Jian was to her, he would never buy her such a necklace. His mother has been with him for so many years, and the most valuable diamond ring is not even worth 1/3 of the one on Chen Yi's neck. So, this old man has really thick legs. That bitch Chen Yi understands too well. Pooh. For all these years, I have been pretending to be a pig, just waiting to eat the tiger. It's so vicious. The old man is too rich, and any time he spends it, it's so expensive. That damn fat man got it for free. Maziuzu and her daughter felt uncomfortable all over. All their thoughts were on money, and they were convinced of this matter. But Maziuzu's eyes immediately lit up again. After Chen Yi sent out the photo wearing the necklace, there was a family photo that the old man returned. It was taken by an old man taking his family to the beach. His family consists of 2 daughters and 3 children. In other words, no son. The old man has no son. The old man has no children, but the old lady does. Maziuzu felt as if she had been injected with chicken blood. The old man values love, and at first glance he values the continuation of his bloodline. Here, there is a grandson with the same blood as him. With such a large family fortune, it is impossible for him not to leave a share to his grandson. A big portion. Until then, what does Chen Jian's little broken company mean? Give it to Chen Yi. They can just take the old man's share. While Maziuzu and her daughter were excited, Ran had already taken off the necklace around his neck and threw it away. Well, a certain treasure, 80 yuan. Apart from the material, there is no difference. Anyway, as long as it can deceive people from a distance. Thanks to these two scenes, the old lady suddenly gained 3 more filial daughters-in-law and virtuous grandchildren. Masayozu gave the old lady in the nursing home chicken soup that she had cooked for 3 hours, and then started to help clean the house, making the old lady subconsciously look out the window to see if the sun was setting in the west. Zhou Qingqing insisted on feeding her chicken soup by the spoonful, which was so unusual that the old lady almost thought there was some medicine in the soup. Chen Chao also took the trouble to accompany him by the bedside, telling him about the prize he won in kindergarten, and repeatedly asking for praise, which made the old lady feel sleepy. The 3 of them insisted on taking her out for a walk, with one person clearing the way and supporting her from left to right, making the scene look like Sixie going out. The old lady has been thinking, could it be that she won the lottery ticket she bought yesterday? The 3 of them kept telling her to be careful, and the old lady began to wonder again. Could it be that she was terminally ill and about to die? During the walk, the 3 of them all smiled like flowers, and greeted the elderly caregivers everywhere. They treated everyone and everything with cheerful faces, smiles and kindness. Even the passing dogs, they did not forget to take the ham sausages. To release kindness. The old lady finally understood that it was not her own problem, but these 3 people, truth, goodness, and beauty. Pooh. These 3 people must be crazy. Why should I code on Labor Day? Isn't it a festival for working people? Should I take a break? I would like to ask, if I ask for leave tomorrow, is it okay? A very sincere question. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 176. Masayozu, mother and son went to see the old lady almost every day. Their attentiveness made the old lady confused. In the end, the old lady couldn't bear it anymore. Did you have a quarrel with the child's father and want me to help intercede? No. You can tell me directly, you are too attentive, I am a little worried. However, Masayozu's eyes lit up again. Why didn't she think of that? In addition to being a future supporter, the old lady can also be a bridge connecting myself and Chen Jian. As long as the old lady comes home, Chen Jian's filial son will not dare to make her worry and will never be cold to her again. When the old lady goes back, Chen Jian will naturally give her room back. Doesn't that mean he is living with him again? It's easy to talk in the same bed. The recent conflicts should be easily resolved, right? Moreover, the old lady needs to take care of her, and she needs him even more, so his own role will come out, and Chen Jian must rely on himself. This is convenient, as they do not need to run around every day, and it is also conducive to cultivating the relationship with the old lady. And the most important thing is that in the nursing home, all the benefits were taken by Chen Yi. After returning home, in the future, they will be the ones taking care of the old lady, and they will all benefit from it. So, when Masayozu suggested taking the old lady home, Chen Jian was shocked. Didn't she always insist that the nursing home had specialized medical staff, so accidents would be less likely to happen and first aid would be handled more professionally? It's too lonely for mom to live alone. You and I were busy at work before, but now that I'm free, there's no reason for mom to stay in the nursing home. I'll take care of you at home. We can buy any equipment you need. I can do that too. Go learn some simple first aid methods. Mom is in a better mood. Maybe she can recover quickly. Right. Chen Jian looked at her for a long time. Of course he hopes that my mother will be by his side, but now he firstly doesn't trust Masayozu, and secondly, Masayozu is so enthusiastic that it scares him. Thinking of his daughter's previous suspicion about his mother's cerebral hemorrhage many years ago, although Chen Jian was moved, he did not dare to respond directly. Let's talk about it later. Take a look and then talk. If Ma Xiaozu behaves well for another 10 days and a half, it might be possible, because Chao Ran also hopes that the old lady will go home. Keeping it by your side to take care of it will be convenient for yourself and make the old lady happier, which is what Chen Yi hopes. Since you don't have to worry about Ma Xiaozu having bad intentions, why not? But something happened again in those few days. Chao Ran went home from a cram school that day. After returning to the community normally, he went directly to the unit door and got on the elevator. But just as the elevator door was about to close, a hand reached into the half-closed elevator door. Then a person came in and quickly pressed the door button again and again. Chao Ran took a look and saw that the person coming was Zhou Qingqing. She gasped for air, sweat formed on her forehead, and stood aside without looking at Chao Ran. As the elevator door closed, Chao Ran seemed to hear some noise outside. What happened? None of your business. Zhou Qingqing's temper was as usual. Chao Ran didn't bother to pay attention to her. The two of them reached their own floor without any further dialogue. Zhou Qingqing was close to the door. As soon as the elevator door opened, she strode away. When he opened the door, Chao Ran heard movement in the stairwell, and the sound got louder and louder. She subconsciously looked towards the stairwell. She heard clearly what the movement was and said, "On this floor, catch her." At the same time, she suddenly felt the wind in front of her. She felt bad and subconsciously stepped back, only to see Zhou Qingqing push him with an elbow with a fierce look in his eyes. Chao Ran dodged the blow with a subconscious reaction, but Zhou Qingqing still slapped the phone on the ground. As expected, Zhou Qingqing was well prepared. With a kick of her foot, the phone was kicked into the door with her heel. Chao Ran saw the corner of her lips raised in a smile, and suddenly felt that Zhou Qingqing's attack on her was more about the mobile phone. Chao Ran once again suffered a loss due to his clumsy body. Because she lost her balance while avoiding, the only thing missing was that second. By the time she stood firm, Zhou Qingqing had already slammed the door shut with a bang. Chao Ran was locked away by Zhou Qingqing. What the hell? Zhou Qingqing, open the door. Chao Ran was so angry that he quickly unlocked the door with his fingerprint. But the door safety was locked from the inside, and she couldn't open the door at all. At this time, the stairwell door had been pushed open. The people who came out were three big men. Chao Ran suddenly remembered that she had just seen these three people wandering on the roadside when she was returning home. But at that time, the three people only glanced at her briefly and then looked away, so she didn't worry at all. I saw three people rushing over and yelling. Zhou Qingqing, open the door. There's no point in hiding. We have to solve this matter. The three of them were approaching in large strides. Chao Ran didn't know why, so he secretly took 2 steps back, but the three of them had already passed her and slammed the door. Looking at the three people, their clothes are a bit wild, their looks are a bit evil, and they have tattoos on their bodies. They really don't look like good people. Chao Ran retreated quietly, preparing to leave. Chen Yi, don't leave. But Zhou Qingqing on the other side of the door suddenly shouted loudly. When she called her like that, the three of them looked at Chen Yi, obviously becoming interested. One of them even blocked her way to the elevator. Zhou Qingqing is still shouting, my mother is not at home, so I can't solve it with you. The person you are looking for is outside. The person outside is Chen Yi. It was she who killed your son. You go find her. The three of them glanced up and down at Chao Ran again. The fat girl in the rumors, doesn't seem to be fat. Are you Chen Yi? Who are you? My surname is Wang, do you know me? Wang Shu's father. Chao Ran heard that Wang Shu's father was also a bastard. Clearly. Zhou Qingqing was blocked by Wang Shu's father and others. The other party is looking for her, either for money, for a breath, or both. The compensation for Tan Chao and Lu Hua has been paid, but the 200,000 compensation for mastermind Wang Shu has never been paid out. It's not that Chen Jian didn't ask for it, but the other party insisted that he was raising money and didn't have it for the time being. Because they were pressed so hard, they looked for Zhou Qingqing as the culprit, right? At this time, Ma Xiaozi should have taken Chen Chao to Chinese studies class. So no one can help Zhou Qingqing. By chance, when he came back, Zhou Qingqing became jealous when he saw it and locked himself out directly. If Father Wang and the others are looking for trouble, then he who is locked out will definitely suffer. If the other party comes to make trouble, they will make trouble first. If he came to take revenge, he would definitely be retaliated first. This operation was as fierce as a tiger's and reminded Tao Ran of a classmate named Lu Xian back then. So vicious. Sure enough, all bad people's deeds are similar. Zhou Qingqing, who is watching behind the door now, probably wants her to be killed by Wang Shu's father, right? You're right. I'm Wang Shu's father, known as Brother Dao in the world. Chen Yi, is there anything you want to say to me? Dad Wang took 2 steps closer. Our Wang Shu, you have suffered a lot because of you. The competition for the new book monthly ticket list last night was too fierce, so I made a list to thank everyone for their support. Thank you to everyone I know, those I don't know, and those who support me along the way, and thank you to all old and new friends for your monthly votes. Thanks to the friends below for their rewards, in no particular order: Brother Long, Yingyu, Wandering, Xiaoao, Ixiangxibuan, Bian. The last number of the book friend is 22,955, eat some beans, come and read together. Xianan is because Inkstone, Xiaobai Shanhe, Aaii, Xiaowu, Shuyotale number 52,040, Yuchayu, Wandong, LMKHV, Zia Pearl, Haihejiajia, Runda, Prawn, Sticker, Ling Xiao, Dream, Read Less Books, Lao News Home, Bookstore Ian's Daily Lying Corpse, etc. Rewards from babies. I love you all. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 177. When Knife Brother introduced himself to his family, he also mentioned his leather vest, revealing a knife hanging on the inside. He was aggressive, but Tao Ran didn't take a step back. Instead, she met his gaze. Perhaps you are mistaken? It's not that Wang Shu suffered because of me, but that I suffered because of him. If someone hadn't betrayed him, he wouldn't have been able to suffer even if he wanted to. Uncle, I almost lost my life. Young girl, you are quite courageous. Father Wang was surprised that the 3 of them showed their fierce looks, with their deltoid muscles and penis exposed. How come this girl is not scared at all? Look at those sharp and calm eyes, how can they be so calm? Wang Shu's father knew in his heart that Chen Yi was right. When the son went to destroy Chen Yi, he was doing things for money. It was a law and a matter of course. But when he didn't receive the money, he was kicked away and a big pot was thrown at him. This was because he was stabbed by one of his own people. Although they were mixed up, they also knew that Zhou Qingqing was much more hateful than Chen Yi. He was out of town with his brothers a while ago, and he only found out about his son's accident last month. No, he came back quickly. A few days ago, Tan Chao and Lu Hua, who were punished together with their son, were released. He immediately rushed to ask why. Hearing this made him very angry. After finding out the address of Zhou Qingqing's home in the past 2 days, he led people to guard the area. Today, they blocked Zhou Qingqing, who was getting out of a taxi. But the damn girl was so weak that she probably had a guilty conscience and ran away as soon as she looked at them. They were unfamiliar with the neighborhood and were thrown away. They searched for a long time, but couldn't find anyone. Later, they saw Zhou Qingqing suddenly appear, chase him into his arms, and then were locked outside together with Chen Yi. Of course, They didn't know until here that the girl who walked into the community door 5 minutes ago was Chen Yi. However, Father Wang is still a bit of a principled bastard. Now, he wants to deal with Zhou Qingqing more than Chen Yi. However, Zhou Qingqing, who was staying peacefully on the other side of the door at this moment, naturally had an idea since the door was locked. Zhou Qingqing is very clever, so he has already made a good plan. As soon as she got out of the taxi, she saw 3 people wandering downstairs of her house. In the past 2 months, she has been living with a high sense of crisis. It was just because she had been harassed by Wang Shu's brothers. No, as soon as she looked at those 3 people, she realized something was wrong. She turned around and ran away. When she saw them chasing after them, she knew something was wrong. The time is awkward, her mother won't be back for a while, it's still early for Chen Jian to get off work, but Chen Yi will be back soon. Zhou Qingqing suddenly had an idea. So during this time, she has been hiding in a nearby power distribution room with a small window that can see the community door. She thought about it, and there is a saying called draining misfortunes to the east. Besides her, the person Wang Shu and the others hate most is undoubtedly Chen Yi. Once the door is locked, they can't get in. What are you afraid of? Then they would settle for the next best thing and naturally have no choice but to cause trouble for Chen Yi. If she fanned the flames again, Chen Yi would definitely be in trouble this time. It's getting late, and those people definitely want to make a quick decision, but Chen Yi has been having a seizure lately and is acting a little arrogantly. It would be best if those people were made angry by Chen Yi and took out a knife and stabbed Chen Yi a few times, that would be perfect. Her plan was quite successful. Sure enough, Chen Yi came back right after class. She was optimistic that Chen Yi would walk into the elevator before she chased after him. The timing was just right. Look, Chen Yi is locked up outside, and now there are 3 against 1 outside, haha. Zhou Qingqing watched the show through her peephole eyes. Tao Ran was pretending to be calm. She wasn't sure where the bottom line was for these gangsters. But since her way was blocked, she had no choice but to bite the bullet. 3 uncles, there is no point in blocking me. If you are here to vent your hatred, then your enemies are inside. If you are here to find me, then it is useless for you to come to me. I am a minor and cannot speak. Even if I say I don't want your fine, the court and my dad won't agree. On the contrary. Tao Ran raised his eyes deliberately and motioned for the 3 of them to look up. There is a miniature surveillance camera in the corner above the door. If you bully me, not only will Wang Shu not be able to get out this time, but the fine will be doubled, and you will have to go in. By then, there will really be no one to save Wang Shu. Tao Ran took a slight step forward, lowered his voice and said, the crime of intimidating the victim is not a small one. Will the punishment be doubled? If the fine of 200,000 becomes 400,000, your house will have to be executed, right? Tao Ran hit the point right away. Wang Shu's family has no savings at all except for the house where they live now. Chen Jian is not the kind of person who rushes to kill everyone. They have no money to pay fines, so they are given time instead of forcing the court to force them. But if the amount is huge, that's a different matter. If something happens to me and my dad is angered, he won't be so easy to talk to. Uncle, Wang Shu will be out next month. I think you should not take risks. Dad Wang Shu hugged his chest, how dare he underestimate the girl in front of him. Sure enough, the judgment was correct, this little girl is powerful. Little girl, why are you talking so much? My uncle is here to talk to your sister. You can go and play by yourself, he was persuaded. Uncle, don't let Chen Yi go. You have been deceived, Zhou Qingqing on the other side of the door snorted, secretly cursing Chen Yi for being so bad. The wrongdoer has his debtor, don't you want to solve the fine at the source? Don't believe Chen Yi, she is always eloquent and the best at talking nonsense. Don't worry, I have cut off the power supply at home, so the monitoring is not at all. I can't photograph you. If you don't believe it, you can take a look at the distribution box in the corridor. In addition, we have one staircase per apartment here, and because the floors are high enough, no one will be disturbed. No one knows what happened to us here. I also had Chen Yi's cell phone in my hand, so it was impossible for her to call the police or ask for help. Such a good opportunity, why don't you think of something from her? When these words came out, everyone from Taoran to the three ruffians were stunned. Taoran was truly speechless. Zhou Qingqing. Got the lesson. Take the trouble. That mother and daughter are really addicted to plugging in the power supply? This is why you take away your cell phone. She really thought carefully about these three people and thought of all aspects. She really had the idea of destroying Chen Yi. Also, because of Hai Song, Zhou Qingqing is now even more anxious for something to happen to her. Uncle, this Chen Yi's mouth is the most outrageous. That day she insisted that Wang Shu wanted to kill her, but she turned a small matter into a big deal and caused uproar in the city. The police almost treated this matter as a criminal case, so you can't resent me. It wasn't that I was unreasonable at the time, but that I didn't dare to do anything. I can swear to God, the culprit was Chen Yi. It was this person who caused Wang Shu's life to be stained. Can you really take this breath? Why not take advantage of the opportunity now to take care of Chen Yi? Have you ever thought about the fear and pain in Wang Shu's heart when she was wrongfully accused of murder? I was feeling very unwell, and I was going to ask for leave first, but then I found out that I was on the push button, so I gritted my teeth and continued working. I really want to add more updates, but my health has been not good, and I am not strong enough. Wait for me, I will take good care of myself and add more updates for you. I love you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 178. Father Wang was obviously persuaded by Zhou Qingqing. I ran to check the electricity meter and found that the electricity in the house really stopped running. The elevator monitoring only took pictures of the elevator room and could not take pictures of this area, so what Zhou Qingqing said was true. A lot can be done in this semi-enclosed space. Boss, what do you say? The two gangsters looked at Brother Dao together. Of course, Father Wang hates Chen Yi who has done so much harm to his son. It would be good if he could vent his anger. So he led people to surround Taoran again. Taoran had a headache. What's the use of embarrassing me? Just to vent your hatred? I still say the same thing, there is no progress in Wang Shu's case, and I can't help you with anything, but you have to take a big risk. Zhou Qingqing was afraid that Chen Yi's clever tongue would gain the upper hand again, so he quickly added fuel to the fire. She can help. You hurry up and hold her. Make her obedient. Not only can you vent your hatred, but you can also force her to ask her father to cancel the fine. Chen Jian loves her and almost obeys her words. The Chen family is not short of money, as long as if you open your mouth, Chen Jian might not ask you to pay back the money. Zhou Qingqing was very excited. Wasn't her hint clear enough? Don't these bastards have many tricks? Is it difficult to threaten a student? Now, while there is no one around, just grabbing her a few excuses is enough to make her obedient. Zhou Qingqing very much hopes that these three bastards can be smarter, even if they just follow her previous methods and take a set of photographs for Chen Yi now. It's not in vain that I created such a good opportunity for them. Well, after that, if she spends money to buy a photo from these three people, she can also threaten Chen Yi. Chen Yi is controlled by herself and is nothing. She, Zhou Qingqing, can be the princess of this family again. From now on, she will seize the old man's property and Chen Jian's company. Zhou Qingqing, don't worry, only the five of us know what happened here today. No matter what you do to Chen Yi, I can't see, hear, or care about it. There's no surveillance outside, and I won't stay evidence. I will definitely not tell what happened today. Uncle, I promise. I am very sad about Wang Shu. This is the little thing I have done for Wang Shu. I can run away, but a monk cannot run away from the temple. How dare I lie to you? Aren't you afraid that you will come to your door again? So just trust me. Tao Ran was speechless. Zhou Qingqing, really spared no effort to destroy Chen Yi. Seeing the growing interest in the eyes of Father Wang and the three of them, and their hands gradually touching the handle of the knife at her waist, she could only pretend to be calm and glance at the three of them. If I were you, I wouldn't believe her. Is she so kind? I do not have a mobile phone, but she is not. Are you not worried that Zhou Qingqing secretly recorded the video and audio when he did something to me? Are you not afraid? The reason why she created good conditions for you is to make you fall into the trap. Wang Shu's father's hand stopped. Tao Ran quickly said. If something happens to me, how will she explain it to my dad? She has thought so carefully for you, how can she not want to deal with the aftermath? Obviously, you are the scapegoat. When the time comes, Zhou Qingqing calls the police with the video and audio of you bullying me. Not only will she be able to put this aside, you will actually have to go in and accompany Wang Shu. Then it will be exactly the same as when Wang Shu went in 2 months ago. I advise you to think about it. If she makes the same mistake twice, after all, she has never been trustworthy. Yes or no? Wang Shu and his father were already in a mess. Both sides are reasonable, but neither side is credible. They were not very smart people to begin with. They originally had goals and planned to act recklessly, but now they were encouraged and analyzed by both sides. Instead, they just felt timid and did not dare to move a step. Even the two followers have started pulling their hair. Boss, why is it so troublesome? Yes, boss, our original purpose is to teach Zhou Qingqing a lesson. This Chen Yi, let's just forget about it. I think she is more trustworthy than Zhou Qingqing. Yes, our little nephew is still inside waiting for us to save him, so we can't take risks. Didn't Lu Hua say that Zhou Qingqing is insidious, and Chen Yi is her stepsister? She can always plot, and there is nothing she can't do. How about forget it and come back to block Zhou Qingqing next time? The two followers also began to persuade Father Wang. Zhou Qingqing was anxious. She almost wanted to curse. Such a great opportunity, are these people brainless? Get Chen Yi quickly. Uncle, I don't know how to video or record, I really don't. You just go ahead and do it. Father Wang also heard the impatience in Zhou Qingqing's words. Did he think he was stupid by urging him so much? Zhou Qingqing, can you trust me? You locked Chen Yi out just because you wanted to use my hand to deal with her. You have clean hands, why should I take risks on your behalf? Zhou Qingqing cried out in her heart that it was a pity. When her plan failed, she thought of another point. Uncle, Chen Yi is still very rich. Don't you need compensation? Let her pay. Chen Yi has a limited edition necklace, a famous brand, which many people with money cannot buy. You ask her for it? All you need is after the sale is completed, the compensation can be given to Chen Yi. For Chen Yi, it is a left-hand transfer to the right hand, so there is no loss. For you, it solves an urgent need, right? In fact, Zhou Qingqing also wanted to say that as long as they could help her clean up Chen Yi, she and her mother were willing to give them 200,000 yuan as reward. You can look for it on her, or force her to take it out. You won't suffer. Tao Ran was really speechless. She is still thinking about that necklace so much. Is this Zhou Qingqing so smart? No wonder Chen Yi can't handle her. She was quite thoughtful, and in this way, the Wang Shu family was able to pay compensation and vent their hatred. How could they not be moved? I was panicking, but I couldn't show it. Do you believe it? Taoran burst out laughing. Do you believe that I have a limited edition necklace that can be sold for 200,000? Do you believe that Zhou Qingqing will help you? Don't forget how Wang Shu was deceived by Zhou Qingqing. In fact, Father Wang is also looking at Chen Yi. She wears a cotton t-shirt on her upper body, jeans on her lower body, a canvas bag on her shoulder, and domestic sneakers on her feet. The total cost of her outfit is only a few hundred yuan at most, and there is no jewelry from head to toe. Her hair was simply tied into a ponytail. On the other hand, Zhou Qingqing's body was all from the same foreign sports brand, and a pair of sports shoes probably cost several hundred. Compared to Chen Yi, Zhou Qingqing is more like a liar. Taoran was sincere. I don't have any limited edition necklace. She took the initiative to turn her pockets inside out and poured out everything in her bag. I only have $100 in total, and her lies are a bit outrageous. Taoran looked straight at Wang Fu. Uncle, let me give you a suggestion. Leave here as quickly as possible, otherwise, you will regret it. Maybe it was because Chen Yi's eyes were too determined, or maybe because there was no trace of panic on her face, but she suddenly smiled. The three bastards felt uneasy for no reason. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 179. The three bastards looked at Chen Yi's expression and felt more and more anxious. They have no idea at all. How could Chen Yi not show any fear when he was surrounded by the three of them? What does she have to rely on? Can't you understand my confidence? Taoran asked proactively. Speak clearly. Taoran glanced at him, gesturing for them to take a step to talk. The three gangsters followed her and took 2 steps to the side. Uncle, please leave quickly. Taoran lowered his voice again. I don't have the confidence, but I know Zhou Qingqing's confidence. Based on my understanding of Zhou Qingqing, I can guarantee that she must have called the police, which is why she is so anxious to let you do something to me. What she wants is to be punished when you bully me. Catch her right away. This will deal with me and you. Of course, this is just my judgment of her. Believe it or not is up to you. At this moment, Zhou Qingqing behind the door became even more impatient. Why not only did they not take action, but they also went aside with Chen Yi? What did Chen Yi say to them? Why are you so quiet that you don't want to be heard? With such a good opportunity, if Chen Yi escaped unscathed again, she would probably die of nausea. Uncle, I also have something to say. Zhou Qingqing instead slammed the door inside. Uncle, come here and I'll talk to you. Father Wang asked his men to keep an eye on Chen Yi and took 2 steps back to the door. Explain. Uncle, I asked someone to bring a message to Wang Shu before. When Wang Shu comes out, I will compensate him financially. Wang Shu and I have always been friends, so you must trust me, but Chen Yi. Boss, a gangster suddenly changed his face and spoke. Something's wrong. There was the sound of running in the stairwell, and the movement was not quiet, and it seemed to be getting closer. Leaning into the elevator room, I found that the elevator was also going up. The three of them held their breath subconsciously, their heartbeats were a little fast, and they always felt that the footsteps and the elevator were coming to their floor. The three of them all glanced at Chen Yi, thinking that the police were coming, right? I guessed 80% of the time. The doors to the stairwells and elevators were opened almost front and back. A huge crowd has arrived. They all rushed in. But it's not the police, it's the property security guard. A group of 8 people, armed with electric batons, surrounded the 3 gangsters. Be honest, what are you doing? Raise your hands. The 3 bastards gritted their teeth, looked ferocious, and glared at the closed door behind them. Zhou Qingqing. There really is hers. At this moment, the three people's backs were all wet. Fortunately they didn't listen to Zhou Qingqing do something to Chen Yi, otherwise wouldn't they be caught red-handed now? So, jumping into the Yellow River is really impossible to wash away. Chen Yi was destroyed, they were killed, but she, Zhou Qingqing, had no opponent, so she took all the benefits. Tao Ran said faintly, I didn't lie to you, did I? Do you believe me now? Father Wang looked unwilling and nodded at Tao Ran through his teeth. This girl is considered an authentic girl, but Zhou Qingqing dared to plot against them. He shouted sternly, Zhou Qingqing, this matter is not over, if she has the ability, she will be like this all her life. The two guards stopped him together, be honest and raise your hands, the police will be here soon. The three gangsters laughed, call the police. We did something wrong and you called the police? Did we curse and beat people, or did we kill people? Stop talking nonsense and follow us to the guard room. You can explain yourself to the police. Take it away. Classmate Chen Yi, uncle didn't make things difficult for you. Dad Wang gritted his teeth and showed an ugly smile to Chen Yi, uncle just believed in you, didn't he? You can't hurt uncle. Uncle is a loyal person. You just need to tell the truth, uncle owes you a favor. The guards began to drag people away. Let go of me. I'll go by myself. Wang Shu's father shook off the guard's hand, Zhou Qingqing, let's wait and see. At this moment, Zhou Qingqing almost didn't dare to look at the cat's eyes. What happened? Why are the guards coming? Chen Yi didn't have a mobile phone, so it was impossible to call the police. So how did they get here? Zhou Qingqing was so frightened that for a moment, she didn't dare to make a sound. When watching Wang Shu's father and the three of them being taken away, he frequently looked back to warn her. Could it be that he thought, she had invited these people? Zhou Qingqing wants to cry but has no tears, it's not her. She wished they had killed Chen Yi, why would she call the police? She couldn't help but look through the peephole again. The police chief was asking Xiang Chen Yi, classmate, are you okay? Chen Yi, on the other hand, looked like he was greatly stimulated and frightened. He leaned against the wall and slid to the ground. If a female guard who had just arrived hadn't come up to help her, she would have fallen to the ground. She seemed to have no words to speak and could only shake her head weakly. Zhou Qingqing gritted his teeth at the sight. Pack. So good at pretending. This Chen Yi's drama is so good. Why didn't she look so weak when she persuaded the three of them just now? Did anyone actually believe her play? What are the expressions on those guards' faces? What's with the distressed expressions on their faces? Are you still comforting her? Does she need comfort? Are those people blind? The head guard looked at Chen Yi with a complicated look on his face. We all know what's going on here. The police will be here soon. Look, classmate, do you want to go to the guard room with us now? Tao Ran, my dad. Your Majesty should be arriving soon, in about 15 minutes. I'm waiting for Daddy. She whispered. Okay. Then you go now. I'll go home and wait for Dad. I'm so tired. Okay, the guards had already noticed that the girl's legs were trembling. It was really time to sit down, rest and drink some water. What a sin, who can bear this kind of thing? It's not easy for her to persist until now. Then I'll accompany you. Don't be afraid, the female guard slammed the door directly. Classmate Zhou Qingqing, open the door quickly. The police will be here soon. If you persist like this, we will have no choice but to cooperate with the owner's request and break down the door. At this moment, Zhou Qingqing was even more panicked. What went wrong? Do these guards know too much? How did they know? What do they think? What's with the obvious hostility? Owner. Chen Jian? He also knows. The owner asked for a break-in? Zhou Qingqing couldn't understand, her hands and feet were obviously very clean. Thinking about it this way, she became even more frightened. The door was knocked every now and then, like a knock on my heart. Zhou Qingqing's hands were shaking, and she took out the phone and called Ma Xiaozu. "Mom, something happened to me. Please go home as soon as possible." After dawdling for another minute and gathering emotions, Zhou Qingqing opened the door. The two guards looked at her with cold eyes, and Zhou Qingqing came up with red eyes. "Sister, are you okay? I didn't mean to lock you out. You were walking too slowly, and I didn't have time to pull you. I was sure they wouldn't do anything to you, so I closed the door out of desperation. Thanks to your kindness, I feel relieved, don't blame me." Tao Ran secretly laughed. Zhou Qingqing's performance today not only had no chance of success, but would also completely turn her into a clown. "I'm a little upset about being bullied today." So, Tao Ran took his hand away from the female guard who was supporting him, and slapped Zhou Qingqing's beautiful face away. The next chapter will explain the cause and effect. I took my parents out during the day. The next chapter should be at night. I love you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 180. Crack. 5 red fingerprints appeared directly on the right side of Zhou Qingqing's face. When Zhou Qingqing didn't react, Tao Ran swung back and slapped her on the left cheek. Today, Tao Ran plans to give Zhou Qingqing a good cleanup inside and out. This damn girl is full of evil and makes people unable to guard against her. This kind of person should feel the taste of being abused from the inside out. When Zhou Qingqing came out of her dazed state, Tao Ran had slapped her 3 times in succession, and her cheeks were burning. She flew into a rage, bared her teeth and claws, and rushed towards Tao Ran. What was hateful was that she couldn't even reach Chen Yi's clothes. 2 guards actually stopped her and told her not to do anything. "Are you crazy? It was she who hit me, why didn't you stop her and stop me?" Zhou Qingqing was so angry that she drooled. "Let me go." When Tao Ran saw this, he kicked out again. Zhou Qingqing was restrained and couldn't escape at all. He was kicked by Chen Yi and fell directly. He landed on his back and was in a miserable state. She raised her bruised arm and screamed. Look at the 2 guards still protecting Chen Yi, still looking at her with indifferent expressions. Unwilling to give in, she jumped up and asked the female guard to hold her back from behind. "Classmates, no fighting." "Bah," Zhou Qingqing was about to faint. "Am I fighting? Are you blind? I was beaten. Chen Yi beat me, and you are accomplices. I will sue you." Tao Ran said coldly, "I'm sorry, uncle and sister, I made you laugh. It's none of your business that Zhou Qingqing and I were fighting. You guys started the fight, so I have to thank you. Zhou Qingqing has always been unruly and ignorant, you guys don't get along with her. Classmate Chen Yi is so polite. It is what we should do to break up the fight." Zhou Qingqing was restrained on a chair. Hearing this chorus, he was so angry that he cursed. She touched her red, swollen, and hot face and wished she could eat Chen Yi. "You've gone too far. I'm going to sue you." Tao Ran didn't take it seriously and sat down on the sofa. "Yes. The police will be here soon, you can do whatever you want. Fights between peers. Let's see how the police handle it. Zhou Qingqing needs to be dealt with." Tao Ran thought about it and decided that it would be most convenient to do it himself. As classmates and sisters, it was a household matter, but it would not involve any domestic violence, so she took action. "Well, I still have to slap you in the face. You have to let Ma Xiaozu take a look." She naturally guessed that the guards would only side with her. Zhou Qingqing and Ma Xiaozu were already notorious in the community because of her falling from the building, and almost died in society. No one in the entire community wanted to see them. After today, Zhou Qingqing has become completely trash-like in the eyes of many people. This was confirmed by the way the two guards looked at her when they entered the door. Zhou Qingqing, your pain is still to come. If I were you, I'd better recharge your batteries and rest now. Tao Ran propped up his head and closed his eyes, and ignored her again, leaving Zhou Qingqing alone with uneasy thoughts and confusion, not knowing why. 5 minutes later, police sirens sounded downstairs. 10 minutes later, Chen Jian arrived home. Chen Jian looked at Chen Yi with red eyes and looked at Zhou Qingqing with cold eyes for a while, then went to deal with a few ruffians on Chen Yi's behalf. Zhou Qingqing was restless and almost collapsed from sitting there. Half an hour later, Chen Jian and Chen Yi returned home after handling everything. Ma Xiaozu had just arrived home a few minutes ago. Misunderstanding, all misunderstanding. I asked clearly, Xiao, I misunderstood Qingqing. Ma Xiaozu came forward. You shut up. Husband, it's true. Give Qingqing a chance. She has a lot to explain. Xiao, what did you tell Dad? You can't wrongly accuse your sister. I said shut up. Shut up, Chen Jian was furious. Xiao, I never said anything bad about Zhou Qingqing. I also reported it to the police. I know exactly what Zhou Qingqing did. Dad, I didn't do anything, Zhou Qingqing quickly explained. You have to believe me. I'm innocent. I'm being chased by bad guys and I'm scared. So. Yes. I have to ask you, why are you afraid of Wang Shu's father? Why are they chasing you? Didn't you say last time that Wang Shu's matter has nothing to do with you? Then why did they come to your door? Why did you hide? You did it. Why are you so sorry for them that they are chasing you like this? If you are not guilty, why don't you hide in the community guard room and ask for help? Why are you hiding by yourself or running away? Chen Jian was aggressive and Zhou Qingqing retreated step by step. Chen Jian sneered, what else didn't he understand? Are those bastards idle? My son went in and came to talk to his classmates. The surveillance of the community was also called out. The menacing pursuit was clearly filled with hatred, and it was clear that Zhou Qingqing had an entanglement with Wang Shu. Last time, Zhou Qingqing insisted that Wang Shu borrowed the money from her, but since there was no conclusive evidence that she bribed Wang Shu, she had no choice but to give up. But this time, facts speak louder than words. Chen Jian just had a conversation with Dad Wang, and he confirmed what Zhou Qingqing had done. Chen Jian took out his mobile phone and threw out the surveillance camera. In the scene, Zhou Qingqing knocked Chen Yi's cell phone away, deliberately locked Chen Yi out of the door, and allowed Chen Yi to knock on the door, but would not open it. Is this a misunderstanding? In another scene, Chen Yi was entangled by 3 gangsters. The gangsters knocked on the door several times, but the door still did not open. Is this also a misunderstanding? Another scene is from the perspective of the living room of this house. Zhou Qingqing is seen standing on the door, looking outside through the peephole, smiling brightly. This, a misunderstanding? Huh. Chen Jian was shaking with anger. You just want to kill my daughter. Take away Xiao Ai's phone to prevent her from calling the police. Knowing that Xiao Ai was bullied by the Wang family before and had a grudge against the Wang family, you still locked her out to face those bastards. Isn't this purpose obvious? Zhou Qingqing's face was ashen, and he fell to the ground as soon as his legs went weak. The surveillance was turned off a long time ago, so how on earth did they capture all this? Misunderstanding, there must be a misunderstanding. Ma Xiaozu came up and pulled Chen Jian away. Calm down your anger first and listen to the child. Get away. Chen Jian pushed Ma Xiaozu away. If she didn't want to harm Xiao Ai, or if there was a misunderstanding, she would have called the police a long time ago. At least she had to call me for help, right? But she didn't. She didn't just ignore death. Open your dog eyes, she was still laughing, and she even took the initiative to turn off the main switch and shut off all the monitors. Do you need me to tell you what she wanted to do? She wanted to kill my daughter. So the accusations made against Xiaoi before she fell from the building were all true. This week Ching Ching has been harming my most precious daughter. No, it's not. Zhou Ching Ching cried so hard that she was out of breath and sat on her knees on the ground. Tao Ran snorted in response. All I can say is that she deserves it. On that day, after discovering that Ma Xiaozu and her daughter used to cut off the power supply to control surveillance, Tao Ran made suggestions to Chen Jian. So one day when the three people were fulfilling their filial piety in the nursing home, they upgraded the monitoring system at home and provided them with an extra lithium battery. The current monitoring system can still work continuously for 300 hours even if the DC power is cut off. And every time the circuit is switched, the main control will prompt. In other words, Chen Jian's cell phone vibrated from the moment Zhou Qingqing cut off the power.